This video is about exploring old games. Some games are now classics, some have been forgotten, and some are about to be rediscovered again because of current video games such as Project Red, Cyberpunk 2077. To explore old games, I have three basic premises. The first is that everything is new for someone somewhere. Number two, that people get old, but not game designs. The idea that game design has an expiration date is kind of ludicrous. And number three, new experiences are awaiting out there, whatever the game, old or new. You could pick up a game from the 80s, rediscover this game, play it, have a fantastic time. And this experience, you could not had it before, or it would have been different but just by default. So these are my basic three premises about exploring possibilities to make old new again. The current market is, you know those titles. You just have to look online what's available in physical format. And these are your current game. If you want to start in role-playing games, you go to the shop, you order some online, you receive your physical copy, and these are the games that are supported. Supported here is kind of a weird term, because in the past a game was supported as long as there was like a company on the corner of the street. You could pick up the phone and talk to them, like people used to do with Gary Gygax. They just call the guy and by finding his name in the yellow book and just call him for D&D questions. But company comes and goes. So what's this term now? Supported. It doesn't really mean anything, since now we have sites like DriveThruRPG, RPG Now. Publishers are giving now access to PDFs of their electronic files, often now with the physical copy as a package. And some companies are still stingy about, greedy about the price of PDF, but some are more contemporary, shall we say, about giving this product when you buy the physical one. So I'm a big believer in setting up the conditions and you will change the outcomes. So playing a game from the 80s now is certainly a way to have a different experience than back then. You don't have the same culture, you don't have the same knowledge of science, and just to pick up Cyberpunk 2020 again, wireless was not a thing back then. The images for a mobile phone is like super huge, and there's plenty of retro tech from our point of view. But back in 91, when I laid eyes on this baby, it was super futuristic. I was big into the Akira anime at that time, so Cyberpunk was like my jam, and it was super futuristic. But nowadays, it's kind of laughable a little bit. But in the spirit of exploration, you could do the followings to explore old games. You could investigate old games, game lines, old settings with an open mind, and you could play this game as is. It's not different than playing a 1920s game of Call of Cthulhu. If you look at it in this way, where it's a fantasy in a way and it's not the real world, you could accept for this the duration of a session that you will have to jack with a cable to access the mysterious internet. So playing all games from their point of view, you can do that. You can also change whatever you like, whatever doesn't fit your vision of the game. You can change whatever anyway. Adding wireless to a Cyberpunk game, yeah, sure, why not? But those special access to certain part of the web might be something physical you may have to go to and physically connect to something. Some systems are made to be independent from everything, especially military grade system. That would be the stupidest idea to put on the latest military system online. That would be ludicrous. So same thing apply to if you want to change the setting a bit. Number two, in the spirit of exploration, you could take a deep dive in your own library and pick up a game you didn't play for a long time and just decide to explore it again. Some of these games we play and fall in love with, sometimes we just play too much of that game and pick up the game. We kind of return back to that state of mind, and maybe it's not a place we like to go. So maybe look around and look for games that did not receive your full attention, for example. And number three would be the OSR and plain old nostalgia. OSR is kind of a big umbrella term. It can mean a lot of things. It basically means new games done with the old way, the old ways of doing things, the old mechanic, the old rules, but they are so contemporary that they could have been just an alternate reality version of that game. And some are quite modern. And there are games that are still published today that I consider to be of that spirit, like all the Palladium books. Palladium system is so OSR in a way. It was created just out the outskirt of D&D first edition, and Kevin Simbita clearly was influenced by that game, but he put on his own twist on it. He allowed for defense role, and he had a different kind of skills, and but that system had not changed a lot since its creation, not so much. And that's part of the appeal. The idea of the Palladium system was to be kind of universal among all their titles, but it feels so OSR. A GM can really put his hand in the dough and shape it like shape the experience with the player as he wants. So this is the blast from the past episode. It's a good way to explore new possibilities, just to look back, because games don't grow old. And I wrote a little something here. I thought it was funny. What was once new and shiny became old, beat up, and maybe moldy. But thanks to modern PDFs and print on demand, the RPGs of old can now shine again.